Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Jaded Roundtable with Kim Ochelli. Hope everybody's doing good. You got to stop meeting like this on Saturday nights. It's starting to become a habit.
I'm about ready to meet the floor the way I feel.
Oh, no, you're not. Anyway, if anybody wants to call in, I have Daniel coming in, Daniel Crumpton.
Daniel Louis Crumpton.
Yeah, I always forget his middle name. That's horrible. Daniel Louis Crumpton.
D.L. Crumpton from ZenInTheCar.com, and also the author of Then Came the Flood and a new book.
Yes, I got a sneak peek at 4 in the morning on my laptop before it was released. Hearts and Arrows, Halos and Horns. It's a book of poetry. It's really very good. I'm always amazed with people who can write poetry because I can't. I can't write a short story to save my life, let alone a poem. So, anyway, I hope everybody had a somewhat productive week. Mine sucked. Although Sunday we did have a good conversation with Hopper and his wife. That was interesting. And I'm starting to push for that move a little bit because of the news that North Carolina is going to eliminate the religious exemption for vaccinations. Now, I'm sure everybody knows that our son is not vaccinated, and I will not vaccinate this child. His eyes just glow because they're so clear and unpoisoned. I actually went to the store today and had a woman stop me because of how beautiful his eyes are. So I'm not doing it. And if they're going to do that here, we're moving quicker than we expected, I believe. Don't you think so?
Yeah, that's what I said on the Facebook post, because you put one on my wall about the possibility. They introduced a bill on Thursday into the North Carolina State Legislature to eliminate the religious exemption for vaccination. And again, just in case you guys tuned in only to hear Kim, I'm sorry, I'm kind of sickly today, so.
That's why I'm having wine, because both you and the baby are sick. Oh, shit.
Well, he got sick first.
Yeah, he did. So Daniel Louis should be calling in soon. I'm not sure when. Thanks, Dalnick. I always forget the call-in number. 718-717-8296. Haven't seen Dalnick in a couple of weeks. He called in a few weeks back. Hope you're doing good. And Joe Friday's in there. Matty Clues, Road Doggin. I don't know who else is in there right now. And is Daniel joining us now?
Yeah, hold on a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Vince is there. Is Daniel on now?
I kind of feel like this is Romper Room, where you're looking through the mirror.
Romper Room. I remember that show.
I see Vince. I see Del.
I hated that show.
Isn't that
I was on Romper Room.
Right.
That's right. That's why I hate it.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, you were actually on Romper Room. How old were you?
Like 5.
Like 5 years old?
That was a long time ago.
Oh, that's funny.
That's ridiculous.
So,
anyway.
Yeah, actually, I do have Daniel Louis Crumpton on the line.
Hello, Mr. Crumpton.
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
I'm totally confused.
Why is that?
9/11 was an inside job.
Can you believe it?
Sir, apparently it was.
Oh, no. This is something I'm just going to have to deal with. Let me talk to my inner child real quick.
All right, you do that.
9/11 was an inside job. Chuck, are you serious?
Look, feel free to assume the fetal position. It's okay.
You mean are you? Let me make sure I got this straight.
Yes.
What you're trying to tell me is that our government lies to us on a regular basis?
At least every half an hour.
A regular basis. Well, it depends on what you call a regular basis. The phony war on drugs that's constantly going on. Who actually shot your presidents? Who actually killed civil rights leaders? Where do you want to go here?
No, Chuck, no. Because the next thing that you're going to tell me,
yes,
is that the whole Kennedy assassination was completely constructed by our government, and I'm just not ready to take that leap.
I'm terribly sorry, Daniel. I have to be the bearer of bad news.
Get that jumping boot on.
But, they were not only responsible for his death, but also the death of people like Martin Luther King Jr., also, so on and so on. Yeah, this actually happens.
I no longer feel safe and secure. I thought that our government was looking out for our best interest. I thought they were, holding us in their caring arms, and totally shattered
Well,
nurturing us like a newborn baby.
yeah, it takes time to get used to it, but trust me, sir, you'll be all right.
The next thing you're going to tell me is they killed Bill Hicks. God damn it.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure if Bill Hicks didn't kill himself. I don't know, but
Actually, I think he started a website called InfoWars.
oh,
There we go. There it is.
Now, no, that's giving way too much credit to another guy with a beefy head. Oof.
That guy makes me nervous.
Yeah, well,
I can't listen to him. He gives me a panic attack.
That's his purpose.
I call him Panic Attack Jones. So
Oh, is that what he is?
that's what I call him. Now,
I
yeah.
can't listen to him.
I think Dennis Ford gave me that term.
He disturbs my inner peace, and I have to turn the channel.
Well, the entire world disturbs my inner peace anymore, but anyway.
enough.
So, Daniel, now that you're done making smart-ass comments,
I was telling the listeners that I got the pleasure of a sneak peek of your book at 4 a.m. I started reading it then, and then I continued at work. Very good. I must say, I loved it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's, I wanted to do something different for my next publication. I didn't want to do a novel, so I wanted to go ahead and do like a 3-shot series of short poetry collections that I've been, sitting on for 20 plus years. And that was the first one that came out yesterday. And I'm glad you liked it.
I did. You missed the deadline, though, huh? Or the date you wanted. What did you want, March 5th?
No, no. I wanted the 20th because of the whole supermoon eclipse thing. I do things by astrology. The first book came out on December the 21st, 2012. So I wanted to make sure I release this one on a relevant astrological date. I believe in that type of thing. Call me superstitious, but I think there's energy in the stars. I mean, if people believe in gravity here on planet Earth, then you have to be kind of a nitwit not to believe that the forces who are farther out don't have an effect on things.
Every single time something has gone on in the skies, we've had cloudy skies. Every time for the last year that we've been down here. It's very disappointing. Because I've been waiting to see like the red moon, and I still haven't seen it.
yeah, we missed the blood moons, we missed the supermoon, we missed all that stuff.
Yeah. When I was pregnant with Francis, I remember walking down the street to the parking lot down there to try to get an open view, and nothing but clouds. So I was like, damn. It was like 3 in the morning too.
Yeah, I don't think we got to see the eclipse here in America. Well, I know I didn't because I was passed out last night, but I was exhausted because we were on the wire with this last book, up until the very, very end. So I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. Thank God for YouTube.
I wanted to ask you real quick before we get started. Did you learn how to make an omelet today?
That chick did not message me back after I asked her about the spatula.
Let me set this up real quick because I love that I'm not the only one. Thank you. Because what keeps happening to me on Skype is exactly what's happening to you.
Will you be my horny hero?
They're all 25. They're all 25-year-old females that want to play.
But what's funny is they're probably all like in their 50s and not what the picture's going to look like if they send it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old adage about the phone sex chicks that have the really good voices. Yeah, but either way, I have no idea because I won't engage it very long. I ask a question like, "Are you contacting me for my radio show?" Because I all the time tell people if you want to get on my Skype list, you can, right? So I go, "Are you contacting me because you heard the show?" Some people say, "Yeah, I like the show, whatever." But occasionally, it's like, "No, I saw your name in the Skype directory."
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is almost exactly word for word what happened with you. I saw your name in the Skype directory, and I wanted to see if you were bored or whatever, right? And then, but Daniel engaged the conversation. I usually go, look, I'm 43. I have no interest in whatever it is you're selling. Goodbye. Okay, sorry for the coughing again, folks. I'm not feeling my best. But like I said, I usually just... That's the end of it.
Vince just posted it in the chat room.
Oh, nice. Yes, Vince posted the conversation.
Are you serious?
Now you guys can see that. what we're talking about. But go ahead, Daniel. Continue for
dying.
those who might not be able to see the chat room and tell them what we're talking about here with these 25-year-old females that contact you through Skype randomly.
He wants her to learn. He wants to learn how to make an omelet with all the fixins.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, I figure if they're going to contact you, you might as well have fun with it and make it like a teachable moment. So anyway, and I'm pretty sure it was like a web bot, but because as I respond back to the chick, there's just it has no relevance whatsoever. So some chick named Shannon Schaefer. Sorry if you're a real person, but I believe that you're not.
No, wait a second, because it's not always a web bot. Because sometimes when I ignore them, right, I say, "Who are you?" and they give me I'm 25, female, blah blah blah, and I ignore them for a while. I get, "Hey, are you there, babe?"
Yeah.
Did you forget about me, honey?
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't think it's a web bot. I think it's some sort of standard program out there where they probably have sold to some women. Listen, if you want to make a couple of bucks, contact guys through Skype, and you could do a private little thing. You can't get in trouble for pornography or any sort of issues about public displays because you're making a private contract with somebody, and blah, 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 blah. I think that's what it is.
I just laughed out loud at the conversation. I still am. He gets a little loud in the kitchen too. That's when I nearly lost it.
Oh well, but go ahead, Daniel. Please describe the rest of this discussion for those that aren't reading it in the chat room.
Yeah.
Road Dog just left to go check his kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess she's propositioning me. I don't know. Hey, did you forget about me? And I said, how do we know one another? Shannon Schaefer says, I got your name from a member directory here on Skype because I was bored and looking for new people to talk to. LOL. I love that. LOL.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. Shannon Schaefer says, 25, female. Here. I said, 34, male. She says, well, what you doing? So I respond, trolling Facebook at the moment whilst watching a documentary about the Kennedy assassination. So she responds, I'm just getting ready. I fucking hate typos. I'm so sorry. As a writer, that just kills me. I'm just getting ready spring break at school, and I'm still in university now, so I'm pretty excited, I guess I'm supposed to have like some kind of a visual about spring break at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I respond, never had that privilege, didn't do the college thing. So she responds, LOL. So I have an idea if you're up for a little fun, misspelled. Totally hate that. Said, I suppose that depends. She says, I was actually going to get to, quote, work here shortly. One of my friends was working online, and I kept asking her about it, so she showed me what she was doing when we got back to school after summer break. Shannon Schaefer says, LOL. She loves the LOL. I thought she was crazy at first, but it's pretty cool, actually. We work online doing private webcam shows, which sounded weird at first, believe me, but I freaking love it. So I respond, is it a cooking show?
Nice. That is beautiful because that whole thing was meant to entice. Well, hey, baby, what are you willing to do on these webcams? What's going on? And you go, is it a cooking show? That is just comic genius, Daniel. I want to stop and just sit in awe for a moment at the genius that took to say, is this a cooking show? That is a work of art, sir, and I think it should be saluted right here and now.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm doing the salute right now.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So she says, well, what I was going to say is I have some free passes, and I usually just do a private show before I get started to, quote, warm up, LOL. No one is online, though, so I was going to give you one of the passes if you wanted, but you have to give me a really good rating so I can get more if you do. So I said, can you make an omelet during the show? Her response, oh, I'll earn it. Don't you worry, LOL, okay? It's you. See a little button to accept my invite and create your profile. Just click on that. Then you just make your own little profile, and you can come CUM.
CUM.
Ha ha. Clever little Trixie.
Yeah.
Into my private chat for the two of us, and type to me and tell me what you want me to do. So I said, I just want someone to demonstrate how to make a perfect omelet without messing up all the fixins. Because, man, you could mess an omelet up. if you don't know what you're doing.
No, I will attest to that. That's for sure. You can definitely make a disaster out of an omelet. That's one of those skills that Kim has that I don't. She can actually make a good omelet.
So Chickadoo says, yeah, you'll need a CC of some sort, but it's just to keep out the underage kids. This is the special page for special people. LOL, I'm such a goofball sometimes. So I said, does your dad know that you make omelets online? she said, I really can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I love meeting new people here. Oh, by the way, might want to turn down your speakers because I can get a little loud once I get going.
It's starting to get hot in here.
So the technologically sophisticated strumpet is not only going to blow your mind, but she's going to blow your speakers, baby.
Blow my speakers. So I respond, yeah, I get a little loud in the kitchen, too. I love cooking with Wu-Tang Clan thumping. Which is true. You know, you can't cook without Wu-Tang. I'm sorry. So she says, I'm about to grab some of my favorite toys. I'll be right back. Hurry up, though. I better see your name in my room when I get back. So I said, is one of your toys a spatula?
You just would not let go of the cooking show deal.
Hell no. I mean, come on. Don't try to message me with your absurdity. I want an omelet, goddammit. Wait, she just messaged me. Oh, shit.
Wait a minute. Right now, as we're speaking?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Wait.
Please let us know what she said.
Let me see if I can see without cutting you guys off. Hang on.
Okay.
No, you can. Just go ahead.
Go back. Me too.
No, it's okay. You go to your recent.
Oh, God.
You'll see it. If she's listening, I swear,
Somebody we know.
I will send her the first Ochelli Effect T-shirt off of the printing press if she's listening. I swear to God.
That is hysterical.
How do you see? Dude, I'm like technologically a caveman.
All right, what kind of device are you on for your Skype?
My computer, my desktop.
Okay, do you see over to the left-hand side it says contacts and recent?
Contacts. Let's see what this chick has to say. I don't see recent.
Recent should be next to contacts.
No, not there.
All right, well, hit contacts.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then you go down the list to whatever her alleged name is on Skype. And you'll notice that it's a different color from the other contacts. And just click on it, and it should show you the text there.
You know what? I'm just going to check it on my phone. Screw it.
Okay, that works too.
Yeah, it does.
I hope she's not offended.
Dude, I am dying to know if she is listening. I don't know what else to say after that.
I don't know either. I have to answer a question that somebody asked in the chat room about my racist rooster. They're gone.
Oh yeah, what happened to the rooster?
I don't know. They're gone. They haven't been there all week, and I haven't seen or heard from the rooster at all.
I think I stopped hearing them on Tuesday or something.
I think Alice might have eaten it. The retarded puppy that we have. Uh-oh.
We're getting a phone call.
Could it be?
Daniel,
let's see who it is.
I'm telling you, I will like literally urinate on myself if this is
I'll light off.
Let's see her.
Is it her?
Hello?
Who's
caller,
this?
You're on the air. Who do we have?
Mom.
Who?
Mom. This is Jaded.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh boy.
Welcome to Jaded.
Anything you want to add on this conversation relating to the
spatulas and omelets?
The spatulas and omelets and things on Skype?
I make a good omelet. But that's not what Con goes, I thought this was Jaded.
It is.
It is.
Well, I'm Jaded. I want to talk about some Jaded things. What are we talking about?
Well, we were talking about a cooking show with spatulas.
I love cooking shows. I like watch Chopped and Cutthroat Kitchen, and I love Gordon Ramsay.
Okay. Anybody else? You like?
I love Daniel Lewis's book. I like it a lot.
Daniel, would you care to respond?
I'm humbled.
Such a gentleman. You're such a
Wow,
gentleman.
that was pretty jazzy. But I mean, really, what are we talking about? Like this woman or something?
We're talking about essentially somebody who's a web bot on Skype. Everybody gets them, and they want to hook you up with webcam videos, and so I just like having fun with them rather than being obligatorily rude.
Are you talking about a cyber whore?
A cyber whore that
That might work as a description.
Well, wait a second. I mean, she might not be a whore. Cyber pimpette.
Well, how do you describe, pimping out oneself for, sexual acts via the internet, which is essentially the goal of these contact requests
For money.
for money? I mean, how else do you?
What do you call it?
How else do you call it? Cyber whore is not really.
Internet.
Do they use bitcoins?
I would have to ask her if she used bitcoins, but before we even got into any type of a transaction of currency, I mean, she's going to have to throw down with the omelet.
Absolutely.
But the question is she putting tuna in the omelet, and does it smell like tuna? That's very dangerous, Daniel. You could say something Ajax not take off.
Well, I wouldn't put tuna in an omelet. I think that's kind of an insult to an omelet.
I agree.
What if you mix sriracha with the tuna?
Well, we're getting less and less hypoallergenic as we go, aren't we?
There's no Orthodox Jews eating that omelet, I'll tell you what.
Oh, don't get started on that.
Uh-huh. Well, that's because I was listening to
But have you guys realized
Hmm?
that I am demonstrating the whole idea of what crack does to an individual?
So
Okay.
what you're saying is crack is bad.
No, it all depends. Depends on like what type of crack. You're talking about cyber wars crack. That would be good.
Why would
Cyber
Oh,
wars
I
crack.
see. No, the crack, in other words, double entendre. Crack,
Yeah, I
fleshy
get-
crack
I'm-
as opposed
I
to smoking
get a
crack.
visual.
Smoking crack might be a bad thing.
I'm not a total retard.
Well,
What's the difference between smoking crack and sniffing it? The only difference is some water and some baking soda.
Is that a
About an 80% markup.
no doubt?
Wow, that's so commonsensical. Wow. Maybe I need to get my wife to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now for
let's
something
talk about-
completely different.
So let's start a new conversation.
Well, what do you
Hello?
want to talk? What do you want to
Yeah,
talk
no,
about?
we're here. We're just kind of stunned and
We're waiting for you to bring up a topic.
What's going on? Why are you stunned?
because I didn't
Chuck's
expect.
stunned. I'm not.
I'm running a fever. I'm stuffed up. I'm coughing and snotting and everything else. So
Snotting? Oh, God.
yeah, I'm not in good shape. So.
But you like recited the whole NyQuil commercial. I'm stuffy and but take the NyQuil, dude. You've got the answer. I mean, you're reciting it.
I'm about to hit this bottle of whiskey in a minute. It's just
No, that's mine. I went out last week to get that shit. That's mine.
What type of what? Oh, now we're talking. What type of whiskey?
Only the best,
no.
Gentleman Jack.
Gentleman Jack. Do you disagree?
With who?
Daniel, do you disagree?
If Jack's a gentleman, he is after a few
I don't know.
shots, I suppose.
Jack. But no, the gentleman whoever drinks them and still sober. I mean, Jack Daniels is dead, my friend. Been dead for a while.
Tastes good, though. Dead or not.
What?
Tastes good, dead or not.
With Coke?
No.
What do you mix it with?
Nothing.
Oh, you're straight up.
Damn right, straight up. There's no mixing.
Best way.
You've got to be an older lady.
What do you consider older?
Above 30.
Oh, no, I'm actually a fucking ancient bitch then, because I'm 44.
Oh, you're only 5 years older than I am.
So we're both old.
But that's great that women drink the whiskey straight up. I mean, I remember when I was, let's see, how old was I? I was 17 years old.
Must not be just the ladies.
This was before my first DUI. And there was this cute girl I met.
You have more than one?
Well, I've got 3. Yep. And I've divorced them all. I'm through with them. I've learned my lesson after multiples of thousands of dollars not to do that no more and just sit my butt home.
Then how do you get your alcohol?
But I'm sorry.
You ride a bike?
The Lord knows.
I have a question.
I drive in a Transformer. I drive in an Autobot.
Awesome.
I have a question.
It is very, very cool.
Okay. Call it Bill Hicks. I don't know. But he did pose a very. I've been watching Bill Hicks all day. Don't know why. It just kind of popped up. But he did raise a very important question, and it's this whole, DUI checkpoint when they ask you to touch your nose. Are you ever not able to find your fucking nose?
Let me tell you
I've
something,
been drunk enough not to find my nose. I'll tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was 16 and I started my adventure, what I like to call intoxication, and I'm not through with that journey yet. I'm not. But I used to practice touching my nose, and I couldn't even remember doing it, and I could do it on a question. Do you touch the tip of my nose? Because I practiced those so much. So, and hey, that double penny thing under your tongue about the breathalyzer, that doesn't work. Spent time in jail.
What?
Tried it.
Oh, man.
So it don't work. So don't do it.
Did my book do this to you?
See, now, Daniel, if... I was going to say that, but I didn't want to...
Jesus.
Did Daniel's book do this to you?
What?
Did Daniel's book do this to you?
Daniel's, which one are you talking about now?
Well, how many of them have you read?
Well, you said that you really liked Daniel's book, that you thought it was great, and, and I guess the question is being posed, did this have anything to do with the fact that you were apparently having something to drink tonight, and, as you are, did it make you the person you are? How about that?
The book?
Yes.
Which book? I mean, he's a writer. Come on, like asking Stephen King, hey, did your book? You're Stephen King. This is Daniel Crumpton. I mean, he wrote more than one book.
That's true. But I don't know which ones you read personally. So did his books then do this to you, or did one particular one happen to contribute to this? How about that?
To my alcoholism?
Sure.
No.
Okay.
I grew that on my own, but...
Okay, no, I think that's what Daniel was asking. Wasn't that about what you were asking, Daniel?
Daniel?
Daniel's gone.
I'm sorry, I hit the mute button. What was that?
I was asking, didn't you want to know if your book had anything to do with...
am I contributing to mass denigration of human society with my literature?
Or more directly, are you inciting alcoholism? Because the caller identified it as being alcoholism, so I will do so also. Did Daniel's writings have anything to do with your alcoholism? I think Daniel wanted to know directly. Am I right or wrong, Daniel?
Yeah. Go with that.
There we go. We'll go with that.
Okay.
I think Daniel's just going along with you, buddy. But I think that Daniel's book did have something very, it was very involved in creating my alcoholism.
Ah, okay. So the answer would be yes.
I am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, okay.
Okay. No, I'm just checking. I mean, I just want to make sure I understand.
I don't even think we got the caller's name.
No, we
How
didn't.
rude of me to not ask. I apologize. Do you want to give your name?
Well, I want a heroic name. How about, what's
Spider-Man.
heroic?
Go with Spider-Man. Dude, everybody wants to be Spider-Man.
Ash. Army of Darkness, dude. That guy is cool. He chopped his hand off and put a chainsaw. I'm Ash.
You know who you
That's
kind of sound like to
the
me?
Evil Dead protagonist.
What's
Ash.
the name of the little character on King of the Hill? Oh, little Bobby.
What, he sounds like Bobby
Yeah,
Hill?
you sound like Bobby Hill. He's really cute. I think.
Well, I'd say, dang, I don't think you're like a hot old woman. You know what I'm saying about
that would be
Bobby got a big old boots.
Yeah, that's
They're very, very.
I don't watch that show anymore.
Well, really? King of the Hill is the best movie in the world. You have to watch it.
Daniel, how you hanging out there, buddy?
I'm considering smoking crack at this point.
Can I come over?
I'm about to get a hold of the Schaefer chick and see if she's got my fucking omelet done.
Cool.
Well, I'm a little hungry for some omelet because I partook earlier. And
all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's thank the president of the Daniel Louis Crumpton fan club for calling in.
Thank you.
And,
but actually, his novel does raise questions that would make one an alcoholic.
Okay. I understand your point, and I feel your pain. So.
And I love all three of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we love you.
We love you.
Only love.
And namaste. Have a great evening.
Yes, you too.
You too.
As I said, the president of the Daniel Louis Crumpton fan club, thank you for calling in. And Daniel.
Are you okay, Daniel?
Are you okay?
Oh, God.
See, you never know what happens on the Jaded 2-hour program.
Really? I mean, for real?
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't. Hey, look, that's.
It's all good. Only love.
I will say that I, again, do not control anything that goes on the Jaded program. I just want to make that statement for myself. I am merely here as a live-in hostage. Thank you. Yes. And that is that. And
to make that disclaimer
and Kim did not plan that caller or anything related to it. We just have open phone lines at 718-717-8296. Or if you're on my Skype list, you can join right on in. And talk to the author, the poet, the interesting man who is now probably feeling a little bit depressed, Daniel Louis Crumpton.
Don't be sad,
Zen in the Car, zeninthecar.com, the author of Then Came the Flood, and of course the new book, which I always mix up the name. Daniel, please give them the title of the new book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Wait. Let me bring myself back to reality. What now?
What's the name of your new? I know it, but
all right. I wrote one book. No big deal. All right.
Which causes alcoholism.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay.
Called Then Came the Flood. The book that came out yesterday is Hearts and Arrows, Halos and Horns. It's the first in a 3-part series of poetry, which is not poetry like you read in English Lit. It is poetry that will grab you by the neck and take you to some places, some seriously dark places.
I really like the poem, the ode to Edgar Allan Poe. The like three.
Yeah, I read that on Chuck's show the other night. Before I go any further, though, I do want to go ahead and say this. I just dropped a link in your chat room for my friend Denise Cardillo.
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I made her a promise that I would do this every time I go on a radio show. She's fighting breast cancer, and she's a really close friend of mine, and she has a GoFundMe account. So anybody who is listening to your show right now can click on that link to GoFundMe and make a donation of whatever you can possibly donate, 50 cents, $1, it really doesn't matter. She is one of the best human beings that I know, and she really, really needs your support and your prayers and anything that you can give financially. So anybody who happens to be listening to the show, if you would, please do that. The link is in your chat room.
Thank you. How is she feeling?
She is actually in good spirits. She is confident that she's going to beat this thing. Hopefully, even though she's in stage 4, it's non-aggressive, and she doesn't have to go through chemo, thank God. And it's something that I don't think she would do anyway because she's holistic. But she's doing really good. So everything that you can send her way, whether it be prayers or monetary funds or whatever, please do. She's just the salt of the earth, and you know when I was going through a very dark period in my life, she really, really was there for me, and she's there for everybody. She's basically she's a woman who has lived selflessly, and I respect that. I admire that, and that's why I want everybody who's listening, please, just something. Either send her a friend request. It's Denise Cardillo on Facebook, or go to the GoFundMe page and drop her a donation. Anything, pass it along. Pay it forward.
Take it.
You know.
Yeah, that would be great. We have somebody else calling in. Are you grabbing it?
Okay.
All right. Let's see who we bring in this time, Daniel.
I tried to add it in. Let's see.
Is it coming on?
There we go.
Well, there you are. What area code is that? 325.
Hey,
Hello?
this is Vince. How you doing?
Hey, Vince.
Yes.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Vincent.
Hey, just for everybody in chat there, they said you must be an avid Bible reader, and assuming that the title of the book is, a religious book. I just want to call in and talk about it because this is the absolute best book I've ever read. I've told you that before. I love it, and I've said too that I've waited for a book like that to be written for a very, very long time. And if I can do a little spoiler, it takes the flood legend and it brings in mythology, the creatures that you hear about in mythology, what is called fallen angels or the Nephilim, and aliens, and just brings it all together. And you don't have to be a religious person to enjoy this book. I'm not kidding. It is incredible. The mind behind your writings is fascinating, Daniel.
Oh, thanks, Vince. I appreciate that. You're talking about Then Came the Flood. That was my first one, and
Yep.
that one, that's a hard one. Whenever I was writing it, I was kind of forethinking how I was going to talk about that book to different people, and it was years ago when I started doing research into the Watchers and the Nephilim, the Book of Enoch, and Noah's flood, things like that, and I said, there's got to be a way, because this information is so relevant to today. It's relevant to all of us who, I'm pretty sure everybody who's listening is well aware of the New World Order and the Illuminati and 9/11's inside job, and where does all this stuff come from? Where are they? What are they trying to get us to? Why are they doing these types of things? And I sat down as a writer and I was like, well, I have to be able to explain this stuff in a way that doesn't seem like education. We learn through fiction. People learn through fiction. You can sit down and watch a movie and get more educated in 2 hours than you can in years of being in a university. So I wanted to write a book that took all this information, all this research, and was like a Trojan horse. I didn't want to come off preachy. I didn't want to come off trying to educate people. I wanted a story that people could read, but the information was still getting in there, And with Then Came the Flood, it was years of research of comparative religions, of alternative history, of what they're doing now, and I tried to put it in that book to deliver it in a way where people could be entertained, but at the same time, the knowledge was getting in there, you know. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, you know, if anybody who's into conspiracy theories or anything like that, if you really want to understand what's going on now, you have to understand Genesis 6. You have to. You have to understand what the Watchers were doing. You have to understand, you know, about hybridization, because this is coming full circle, you know. And though it was written under a fiction title, or a fiction heading, I guess you could say, it's far from fiction. Very, very far from fiction.
Well, see, that's why I had the guest that I had on during my show, because although it's a novelization, it does have to do with bringing in relevant stories to you know, if you're interested. And that's exactly the kind of thing that you've done. And I got to be honest with you, for years and years, I sort of scoffed at the idea of the novelization of real events or history or things like that. I really didn't find it to be very useful, but it's an awfully interesting educational tool for getting people involved in a story that winds up teaching them something, as opposed to just laying out, you know, here's facts, here's the this, and here's the that. And you know, it's almost like it gives you a whole different approach to trying to educate people about a particular subject. And I think that's what you were after there, is to kind of, you know, take the realities of these different things, form a composite, and also give people like an insight into what you believe is, you know, the truth about things.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I realized was, you know, like, for example, well, most people call him Jesus. I'll call him Yeshua. That's just more comfortable for me. But is he was trying to bring down. There's a guy named Professor Barnhouse. He passed away years and years ago. But something that he always said was, look, you have to take the hay down from the loft and put it on the ground where the cows can get at it. You know, it doesn't really do you any good to be intellectually vain. You know, it's not going to do you any good to be so smart to everybody. You have to bring high knowledge down so that people can get it. You know, so they can get at it, right? And you know, I was a student of the Bible. I used to be a Sunday school teacher, and one of the things that I really took from the Bible was that Yeshua would teach people things in parables. He would never say, "Look, this is how it is." He would say, "The kingdom of heaven is like." Okay. He would always compare it to something. You know, and if he were around today, of course, they didn't have movies back then. But, you know, I think if he were walking around today, he would say, the kingdom of heaven is like the Matrix. Have you ever seen that movie? Or the kingdom of heaven is like, you know, this. Something that we could relate to, you know. Because fiction it engages our right hemisphere. It engages the intuitive, imaginative part of us, of who we are, you know. So yeah, with that one, with Then Came the Flood, that was something that I really, really wanted to bring to people, to start to question our origins as a species, because it's not what you're taught in school. You know, it's not. Uh, People like you know, Zechariah Sitchin and David Icke is out there. You know, he's talking about things like this. We really have to look at our origins in order to understand where we're at and where we're going.
That's true. And it looks like Vince dropped off the call.
Oh, did he? Well, how long did it take you to write that book, Daniel?
Then Came the Flood was, oh, good night. I did 3 or 4 years of research, and when I actually sat down to write it, it took about a year. Took about a year to write it. And then, of course, you know, going through publishing and finding a publisher and all that was a little bit longer than that. But as far as the story of that book goes, the main character, Kima, and Chuck, have you read it?
I've only read part of it, actually, Daniel.
Part of it?
So far, yeah.
The main character, Kima, was inspired by my dad. Actually, my dad was of course, he's a titan in my life, and he was in his 80s. You know, whenever I wrote the book, he was always an inspiration to me. You know, he would always have a stack of books in his room. You know, paperbacks, Thomas Harris, things like that, and he never told me what to do with my life. He always knew that I wanted to be a writer. And so as he was getting older, you know, in later in my life, I watched him. He had a very bad arthritis in his hip. And we're talking about a veteran of 2 world wars. Okay.
Mm.
And, you know, he married my mom. My mom had, you know, 6 kids at the time. And he did what he had to do, you know, to keep us all surviving. You know, we weren't the richest kids when we were growing up, but my dad made sure that we grew up, you know, and taught us everything he could. So as I was watching my dad get older, this concept kind of popped up in my head of, you know, what does it feel like to be a strong man who's losing that strength? You know, what does that feel like? You know?
Mm.
Uh, so it kind of inspired the main character. Uh, and that's kind of where Kima came from, was my dad was this extremely strong man who was getting older and he knew his time was coming. And so it that in comparison with the research that I was doing about the Watchers and the Nephilim and all that, I was like, yeah, to hell with it. I'll put my dad in the story, you know. So he was kind of the basis for it. You know, what was disappointing to me was I wrote the manuscript and I did the dedication, which was to him and my mom and my wife at the time. And you know, I remember when I finished the manuscript, I brought it over, you know, to the house, and Dad was sitting there drinking coffee. That was something we did every day. We would drink coffee and talk politics and stuff like that. And my dad read the dedication, and that was it. You know, he didn't. A few days later, he passed away.
Mm.
So, you know, but to me, it was worth it to know that he read the dedication.
Right.
You know, uh, that oh my God, you know, my son, uh, he did this monumental thing. You know, he achieved his goal of writing a book. You know, which is what my dad always pushed for. And you've read my poetry book. There's a poem in there called Father,
Yes,
and that was to my dad.
I figured.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that was to my dad. If it's cool, I could read it, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Please do.
Um, Let me preface it a little bit. Um, I had went to a funeral of somebody who'd lost their parent, and they read a poem. They had written the poem within that week, but they they read it kind of. I don't know how to describe what it was about, but it was something that was never read to the person while they were alive. And I came home and I said, you know, that's horrible. You know, it's easy to stand over somebody's coffin or their grave and, you know, say nice words. It's a different thing altogether to say what you have to say to a person while they're here. And so I came home and it took me about, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes. And I was like, well, you know, I'm going to write a poem for my dad, you know? So I wrote this poem. You ready?
Yes, Daniel, we're ready.
All right. It's called Father. It says, as a child, there was a face that struck into my mind, a smile so warm, an eye so cool, a heart no child could find. Within my mind, 10 worlds would live, my dad would feed them so. And when he strapped those big boots on, I'd wondered where he'd go. I'd go to school and learn new words which father had done taught. In history books I read of wars in which my dad had fought. Then I'd come home and hold his hands which were so big to me, and in his grip I'd feel the strife of all his victories. Now through my life I felt much pain, but Dad, he blessed me so. He gave me hope and gave me strength in which my soul shall grow. So as I pass throughout my trials, I think of him so high, and with his strength inside of me, no goal shall pass me by. I look at life as something new now that I am grown, and in my heart I keep the scenes in which my dad has shown. So as new problems come to me, I know I shall not run, because you see I have a strength, and I'm proud to be your son. And so I wrote that, and then, like, as soon as I wrote it, I ran into his room, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would always lay on his bed. He would, read whatever paperback novel he was reading at the time. And I said, Dad, Dad, he had these glasses on the tip of his nose. You got to read this, right? So he put his book to the side, and I handed that poem to him, and he read it. And you'd have to know my dad. I mean, in the book, there's a picture of my dad. Obviously, he's a strong, strong man, very strong man. And it was so funny, not funny, but it was touching because he read it, and I saw a tear like coming from his eyes, and he like faked it, but he pushed his glasses up, and he was, God damn it, boy, you trying to make me cry, and it was just this moment of triumph for me because I made him cry, and it was sincere, and it was something that meant a lot to me because I was able to say that to him before he passed. It was something that he carried with him. And it's so funny. Everybody who knows anything about me knows I'm very, very spiritual. I don't believe that when people die that they, I believe they go everywhere. They can still see you. But it was so funny. Years before he died, he was depressed. He had a lot of he was depressed about a lot. And me and my wife at the time were like, he loves playing cards. He loves playing poker. So I went and bought this poker table, and I had a poker set and all this good stuff. And every Friday and Saturday night, we would have poker games over at my house. And he was there, and it was quarter games only because in Georgia it's illegal. You're not supposed to gamble. But we would have different people come over, and the last game that we played, he had this little tin can. It was I have it now, thank God. But it was this little tin can with kitty cats on the front, and which was hilarious because my dad was a tough, rugged guy. When he would come over to my house with this fucking pink can with kittens on the front, and it was just hilarious to me. And I would rip him every single time. Boy, you better not make fun of me. Your mama gave me that. But he kept his quarters in this little tinny, this little kitty can. And the last game that we played, it was the weekend before he passed. Me and him went toe to toe. He's the one that taught me how to play poker, and me and him went toe to toe. And I raised him $27 out of this quarter can that he had. And finally, when the cards were on the table, I had a full house, and he was nothing, And he kind of smiled about it. He lost everything that he had in that kitty can to me. But he smiled. It was almost like, well, at least I taught him how to play poker, So whenever he passed, I went and I took $27 worth of poker chips and put it inside of the coffin. And I was like, here's your buy-in for heaven. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what was crazy about that was years later, I was walking down the street, and this song came on the radio. I think it was called I Thought I Saw You Yesterday. And it's about a son talking to his dad who passed away. And, like, the lyrics to the song were so synchronistic to me. And at the time, there was the two abandoned houses. And I walked inside the house. I said, this is a message from the universe. You can't just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into this house, and this house was completely destroyed. It was completely dilapidated. Teenagers had, torn all the insulation out, but there were $27 worth of poker chips in the floor.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so think of that what you will, but
Mm-hmm.
Odd comments from the chat. You see in the chat room, Daniel?
I'm looking.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure if you saw what had just come up in there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Mm.
Anybody who's looking at the chat room sees it. But yeah, things like that happen all the time, to me. Thank God.
That's cool. I see a lot of red birds.
Yeah. See, I envy the relationship you had, and I talked to you about this on my show a long time ago. That I envy that the fact that you had that relationship because I'd lost mine when I was 4, my dad. So I don't have that textured kind of relationship to go back to in my memory. I don't have things like playing poker with him and things like that. I have a couple of vague sort of memories of things that had gone on or whatever, and it is a huge different thing when you really gotten sort of deeply entangled with somebody and been involved in their life, and they go like that, and especially when they meant so much to really who you are. I mean, as much as we all want to claim to be individuals, I mean there are the heavy influences that can be sort of traced back, and a lot of times it is our parents. Thankfully for myself and anybody who's ever known me, my mother wasn't a huge influence on me, but but when it comes down to it, parents are a huge influence, and that's something I wanted to make sure. By the way, I did turn away some phone calls there while Daniel was going through that because I wanted that unbroken. I didn't want that interrupted in any way, shape, or form. Not only the reading of the poem, but the follow up.
Right.
So I just want to let you guys know if you want to try and jump back in now, you can. But that's why I was holding it back. Okay, sorry.
Well, I want to, excuse me, I want to say something about, sorry, that was bad. What you just said about how your mother wasn't an influence. But in a way, she was, because her behaviors you learned not to be like.
Oh no,
Just like I learned my behaviors not to be like my father.
well, don't get me wrong. No, me and my mom are extremely close. When I say she was an influence in that manner, I think it's difficult for me to really talk about because it's separated the relationship that I had with my mother and my father.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my mom are best friends. I mean, we have been through literally everything. There's like no experience that I can say that she hasn't shared, you know, with me in that way. And I think a lot of that goes back to, we all have this moment in our youth when we first wake up, when life becomes real, I guess you could say. And for me, it was when my grandfather, which was my mother's dad, was living with us. He was dying of cancer. And I watched my mom like wait on him hand and foot. And there was the moment that he died was very traumatic for me. And I remember my mom was in the back room and she had come into the room after he passed. We were all counting down his breaths, and she came in and my dad walked towards her and he had this look on his face like, I'm sorry, your dad passed. And my mom had a stack of towels in her hand. I remember it almost like it was yesterday. And when my dad looked at my mom, she collapsed. She went to collapse. And my dad just grabbed her. He swooped her up like Superman. It was so vivid in my memory and just held her. Uh, After that, me and my mom, my dad he had to go out of town for work and stuff like that. It was just me and my mom. So no, we were me and her are very close, but the relationship is different. I really don't know how to explain it. It was he was always the unbreakable, to me, the unbreakable father figure that no matter what happens, we will survive. And mom was always the nurturing, we can endure it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through a lot of emotional stuff together. So no, I don't want to say that she wasn't an influence to me. No, she was a great influence. She still is. Me and her are best friends.
Just in a different way. But
in a different way.
My
Yeah.
point was, even if somebody has a relationship with their parent or their caregiver, whomever it may be, isn't the most what do you call apple pie type, you can still be influenced by that relationship because you grow up learning what not to be.
Yeah,
that's one of the interesting points there. And like I'm saying, I mean, it's just I kind of envy the fact, and I do envy both of the relationships that you had with your parents, because these are things that are completely alien to me, And but I can see where it makes a lot of sense, and it has a lot to do with who you are. You know what I mean? That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, and see, one of the things I really don't get, maybe it's just me getting older, I'm not quite sure, but, even it's a saddening thing for me, because I can see the youth of today not respecting their parents, and that's sad. I mean, it really is sad, because, for one thing, your parents didn't have any training. They didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Right.
They did the best that they could, and even if they didn't do a good job in your eyes, you should at least try to find something that they did right. At the very, very least, they gave you life. So it hurts me to see people who don't respect their parents. It hurts me to see people who don't try to find the good. Even if it was bad. And I get it. There are a lot of shitty parents out there. I get it. And my parents weren't perfect. They did the best they could, but it's a matter of perspective. What do you want to focus on? Do you really want to focus on what they did wrong, or do you want to, give them some credit? Give them some credit. They didn't have any instructions. You just popped up, dude.
Well, no, I agree with you in that respect, but I also have to say that I think that once, I'll use my father for example. Once you have children or a child, you need to grow up. Period. You're now responsible for another human being. And you can't be doing the things that you were doing pre-child. Because, one, you're putting that child in danger if you're still, for instance, my father would take we're talking in the 70s, would be driving around in his little blue Gremlin with me in the front seat, no seatbelt, and a six-pack of beer next to him, drinking while he was driving. Well, I can't find the good in that, other than I learned, okay, that's probably not a good thing I should do with my child in the front seat.
Right.
But, I don't look to excuse his behavior because I didn't come with instructions on my toe when I popped out. It's time to grow up and be a man. And my father was incapable of doing so. And for me to find the good, I have a really hard time doing so, because all of my memories are negative. I have his personality where it's I kind of just flow with the breeze, which, most of my listeners, I've said this many times, I don't plan. I can be irrational. I can be,
you have that,
Oh, yeah, I admit it. I'm not proud of it. There's a lot of problems that come with being, irrational and becoming, sometimes I'm irresponsible. I make quick decisions without giving thought. So, yeah, okay, I took that from my father, but that's not necessarily a positive thing. He needed to grow up, and he didn't. He forced our family into bankruptcy many, many times. And I can't... And actually, he wanted me to be a boy. So, I mean, that in itself had its problems, because I'm clearly not a boy. And wasn't going to do little boy things that he got angry at me for not wanting to do, because I was a little girl. I wanted my Cher doll, and I wanted to watch Charlie's Angels. I wasn't interested in the F Troop when I was 5, Whatever.
You totally just dated yourself.
I know. Oh, well, everybody knows how old I am.
All right, I'm going to shift gears.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say we could go right on back, because we are through the first hour. And we didn't really, outside of the one poem and given the title of the book, we didn't really discuss the book very much, and I wanted to kind of go back into that.
No, we were distracted a bit in the beginning there.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know where I find these people.
well, apparently Daniel's writing causes alcoholism, and your listeners
Well,
are
what was
more than
last
happy
week's
to be.
excuse?
Well,
Oh,
well,
he's your friend.
your listeners are
Your
more
friend.
than happy to make the drunken call, because I only have one drunken caller. You have multiples of them now. So,
Well, the one from last week was your friend
yes,
yelling at me.
I know, and he yelled at me too, and yelled at all of us, and
Oh.
apparently had other things to say. I don't know. I can't control what people do.
Neither can I.
Okay, but the thing is,
How did you come? Okay, let's get.
well, let's
get
go back to the
business.
title. How about this? How about
Yeah.
we start with the title
How'd
of the
you
book?
get to that title?
Well, how did you arrive at that? Yeah, because you're talking about a compilation of stuff that you wrote over the course of many years, which which I also find interesting, because you get to look back at these things and you can sort of relive what the emotion was that caused you to excuse me, caused you to look, caused you to actually commit it to paper. I mean, there's one website on the internet that still has some of my poetry. If I look at it myself now, many years later, it makes me immediately revisit what the emotion was that caused me to write it. When it comes down to stuff. I mean, there's a piece about my dad on my website and everything. But the point is that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, why? How did you come up with settling on that title for something that's obviously going to be extremely diverse, because it comes from all different points in your life?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if I can answer. Hearts and Arrows, Halos and Horns came from, I had just went through a divorce. Um, uh, and what's funny about that, I think one of the last shows I did with you, I made a comment. I said, my marriage was great up until the divorce. And somebody in the chat room was like, are you serious? you know, uh, but yeah, I just went through a divorce, and you know, in my particular divorce, I lost everything. Like, I gave everything up. I gave up everything. Literally homeless. Um, no money in the bank. I mean, nothing. I gave everything up, and I would go walking at night, in the middle of the night, and I hadn't written poetry for years. It was something I just didn't do. And I remember going to like Waffle House one night, and I, got me a cup of coffee. I'd managed to scrape up some change, and I had this composition book, and I said, um, there's a lot of emotion here, and I need to get it out. I got to put it down into something. And of course, with any divorce, you deal with thoughts of infidelity. There's questions of infidelity. There's questions of it's a hurricane of emotion.
Yeah, you're trying to assign blame. You're trying to think about what you could have, should have, possibly would have done differently had you known X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I come from a little bit of a different angle on this, because the best part about my marriage, my first marriage, was that it ended. Thank you. So it only got good after the divorce. Thank you. And I gave up everything as well, and definitely worth it double time. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it'll do that to you. I mean, it does. I mean, it's an experience that it there's kind of no words to describe it. I mean, it's an experience,
Right.
and it was one that I had to go through, and unfortunately, I did. But so I found myself at like a Waffle House or a Huddle House or whatever it was at 3 o'clock in the morning with this composition book, and I said, I got to bleed. I have to bleed all of this out on a page. And I was thinking about all the different circumstances surrounding my divorce. What had caused it, what misconceptions were going on, what players were playing parts. And, that title just popped up, Hearts and Arrows, Halos and Horns. And it was like, to me at the time, I was like, that's life. Life is, continuous love stories And sometimes we have hearts, and sometimes they're pierced, and sometimes we have halos, and sometimes we have horns. Certain people will look at us, and they'll look at us as good angelic beings. But then, on that same token, other people look at us like we're the devil.
So it's like
And
the jumble of life, kind of the way that you put it.
yeah,
Right?
that's the way it was. I mean, you can perform an action, and 50% of the people will see you as a good person, but 50% of the other people are going to see you as the devil. I mean, you can't win. So
No.
that's kind of where that title came from. Um, so basically, whenever I did the book, I was like, all right, well, I want to go ahead and put in the best of what would fit that title.
Mm-hmm.
The ups and downs of love, the ups and downs of being a good person, being a bad person. There's some poems in there where people read them and they go, oh my God, he's so misogynistic, but it's art. It doesn't, it's, it was a moment for me to write, you know, like for
Right.
example, let me go ahead and, can I read this one?
Sure.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, this one's called A Simple Lie.
Okay.
I love this one. A simple lie, that's all it was, but I guess that's what an ego does. But the shit pouring I've heard all before. So does a simple kiss make you a whore? And of course, to my memory, it was more than a kiss, but you fucked up when you could have been bliss. And according to me, it was you who began. You couldn't handle it, so then you ran. I'm afraid yours truly is not that dumb. You gave me no pain, bitch, for I am too numb. And I'm sure if you wanted that night, we would have fucked. But that doesn't explain why your poem sucked.
I remember that one. Yep.
Now, yeah, story behind,
Go ahead.
because we want it, right?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Of course.
I was dating this chick, okay, and she wrote me a poem which was a ripoff of a No Doubt song. And I was very offended because don't rip off other artists.
Right.
So she wrote me a poem called A Simple Kiss, basically trying to brush off the encounter that we had. So, as a response, I wrote that. And then read it in English class in front of her. Yes, thank you.
Did you actually use the word fuck in English class?
I did.
Did you get in trouble?
Yeah, all the time.
Well, that's all right. As long as it's worth it.
That's funny. You and I have a similar story about doing something, except it was while we were editing the literary magazine for the school, where I did something pretty similar to that.
Go ahead.
You did? You didn't tell me that story.
He
You
just,
got too many
I
secrets
never
that I
thought
don't
about it
know.
until he said that, and I remembered what had gone on when I was in high school.
All right, let's hear it.
It's pretty funny.
Lay it out on the table right now. Let's go.
Okay, I had left one girl for her friend.
Oh,
See?
you dirty, whatever.
Yeah. So
You prick.
I dumped one girl and just picked right up with her friend.
Sweet.
Okay.
You whore.
Yeah, I know. It's all right.
Sorry.
So anyway, she had submitted, the girl that I left had submitted this poem before we had split up to the literary magazine, which she did not do. Usually I had like 10 things published in the damn thing. You know, it was just one of the things I did. But she never did that. So she submitted this poem. Everybody knew it was about me. Everybody knew who it was written by, what it was about, you know what I mean? And I submitted right at the end of the deadline an additional piece, which was an answer to what she had to say. Okay?
Did she love you?
And, yeah, apparently.
Aww, and did you break her heart?
Apparently.
You prick.
Yep.
All right, go on.
And at the end of my poem was like, I know that you're sad that things had to end, but, if you weren't such a bitch, I wouldn't ended up with your friend. And I submitted it without the intent of it ever getting published, by the way. But I mean, literally, it was that blunt. It was just a matter of I wanted it read
Ooh.
in front of the literary magazine staff and thusly the poetry class. So, yeah,
Wow.
I did that intentionally just to be a dick.
I think you succeeded.
I do believe I succeeded. But it was all about, like, how, oh, you disappointed me, you're upset with me now. You disappointed me, you're upset with me now. But at the end, again,
That's why I'm with your friend.
that's why I'm with your friend. Oh, you just
That's
reminded me that I had not thought of that in many years.
That's mean.
That's
I've never had a guy be that mean to me before.
well, there's more to why, but believe me, it was provoked.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that to some, if I had just broken a poor girl's heart, I would have left her alone. If she didn't try to shame me in some other way, then I wouldn't have done that. But there you go.
I need to know no more. I don't want to know how. You couldn't
I'm sorry.
possibly ever be shamed. Are you kidding me?
Not
That
anymore.
itself
No,
is
not anymore.
freaking comical. Huh.
Well,
Wow.
sometimes you have to do that, man. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
was mean to
sorry about
somebody
that,
one
Daniel,
time,
because
though.
I like your story better. Mine is a little less, intricate or creative. But I remembered that, and it was pretty funny because I too got a little bit of trouble for using the word bitch because the English teacher didn't bother to read it and let a student just read it straight out, and she just read it through and used the word bitch because it was capitalized.
Oh,
Yeah.
what No Doubt song was it, Daniel?
Don't speak.
I figured it had to be that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It was
Of course.
Don't Speak.
You got to be, what, about 10 years younger than me?
Don't even.
She's actually that chick is actually listening right now. Sorry.
Oh. Oh. You. Oh, Daniel. Sorry, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. How you like me now, bitch?
Oh, now I just lost the listener. Thank you.
See,
He's gone.
see where I like Daniel. There you go. That's
No.
really, it doesn't have to do.
Well, the real Daniel Louis Crumpton, please stand up.
Hang on. Let me send her an apology real quick.
I think you might need to. I think you better tell her you're going to make her an omelet. Damn it.
No, she's married and got a bunch of kids. Fuck her.
Oh, now she's definitely gone. Yep, see, my chat room listener just dropped down by one.
Oh, that's funny.
Gone.
Would you get more people in the chat room than I usually do on my shows? It's kind of funny.
It's just because I'm stupid. I have dumb fun. You're more serious than me. That's why we, gel the way we do. Because I don't take things as serious as you.
Hey.
Which is hence part of my personality problem.
It's not
But
your,
I'm cool like that.
it's not
so
your
all right.
personality problem
Why not?
because it's everybody else's problem.
True.
There you go.
You're right. It is everybody else's problem. It's not my problem.
See?
Anyway,
Works out, doesn't it?
it does.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Daniel.
You're fine. You're fine.
Little, friendly banter.
All right. Love of your life. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Snap your fingers.
In what kind of beat?
I clutch my hand behind your neck and bring your lips to mine. I keep your eyes in steady check to catch all your signs. My hands are running down your back, your heart begins to course. No skills of this you'll find I lack, I conquer you with force. On my bed I lay you there, with touch I tend to rouse. My fingers run throughout your hair and land upon your blouse. I take it off and give a smile, your flesh my eyes drink in. Love, I whisper all the while, you're convinced it's not a sin. Upon your leg I place a kiss, the taste as sweet as wine. Your face reveals a state of bliss, upon your skin I dine. As your heart I do pollute, I say in me do trust. I see I play you like a flute, so is this love or lust? What?
It's getting warm in here. Phew. Open a window,
Yes.
would you? Please. I'm playing.
I know, I'm ready
No,
to
I'm
keel
not. Oh, my
over, but
goodness.
it's okay.
It's almost midnight. It's my playtime.
This is true. You know what? Somebody in the chat room did ask whatever happened to the chick who was supposed to be making omelets, because we didn't quite get to finish that. We had an inebriated interruption. So,
Yeah. Yikes. Oh my.
what you were reading that, and then she sent you a message. Did you ever get the message?
Let's see. No, I mean, there's nothing there. I said, I'm sorry I missed your show.
Oh.
Let me send her a message. Hey, girly girl.
Get
What's
out.
up?
No, you're not.
What's up with my
Omelet.
omelet? Biatch. No.
How you like me now, cooking bitch?
Yeah, right?
Is that a rubber spatula or a metal one?
Well, you're a lady. Which would you prefer?
A rubber one.
All
thank
right,
you.
then.
Don't make me go on into that now, please.
Oh,
not late enough
no,
yet.
no.
Not late enough. Anyway, sorry about that, Daniel.
No worries. All right, give me 2 seconds. Go into the little boy's room.
Oh,
Yeah,
No problem. Go right ahead.
We're not supposed to talk about it on air.
don't forget to mute.
Be like Durst going and taking a pee and talking to himself,
Oh yeah, I killed him. That's what I did.
I killed them all, of course.
Well, that went away mighty quick, huh?
I don't know. I stopped watching that crap. I can't do it after a while. With the mainstream stuff. Of course, they're speculating in the chat room as to whether I am going to get some later or whether you're going to get some later. They're speculating.
Hey, time will tell, right?
I guess.
Who knows?
I probably won't know it if I get it later because I'm kind of sick.
Oh, you'll know it, and you'll fucking like it too.
Listen to
wow.
that. See how I just got told?
You did get told, bitch.
You just called me a
cracked
bitch
myself
on
up.
live radio.
Okay, you can call me. Go ahead. Call me a bitch. It's all right. I'd rather be called a bitch than an asshole.
I know.
I got to be honest. I think that's just a really foul word to call somebody.
That was horrible. You guys remember whenever we were in like elementary school and they would give you Jell-O and it had like fruit inside of it, and you were like, "What the hell is that?"
Oh yeah, like you're recognizing there's grapes, and I'm not sure what that cube
that
is.
Stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. See, I never ate school lunch because my mom couldn't afford it. This was another history lesson. My mom, you know what I thought was messed up when I was a kid? We had no money, and you know the little lunch tickets? Well, if you were broke, you had a different color lunch ticket. And there was no way in hell I was standing in line with my purple ticket when everybody else had a friggin' yellow ticket because mine stood out like a, bright orange sign. Beep, beep.
See,
He's broke.
I got around that because in some of the early schools I went to, we didn't have a cafeteria, so there was actually a lunch lady that went around with a cart delivering lunches to people who had paid in advance, right? Uh-huh. And at the end, I would help her deliver the lunches, and I would end up with, extras. So that's how I ate lunch when I was in like
now they have debit
grade.
cards, so you don't know who's got assisted lunch or not, which it should be anyway, because it's nobody's business, because kids getting abused anyway.
Hooray, plastic money.
Well, whatever the fact may be, I wouldn't eat lunch because I was too embarrassed to stand there in line with my purple ticket.
There you go. See how you get us off on a weird tangent, Daniel? Good. You were talking about the Jell-O, though. So go ahead.
That was...
Oops.
Yeah, never mind.
See how I go? Oh my God.
So, everybody go to Amazon and buy a copy of my book.
Yes, please do.
Yes, do that. Now, I shall tell you what I am working on currently.
Oh, yes.
Right.
This is fun.
Somebody mentioned earlier that you are working on the sequel to Then Came the Flood, which is Reach Unto Heaven? Is that the name?
Reach Unto Heaven, yeah. That's going to be the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Which I got so much feedback from Then Came the Flood because there were so many people who were really interested in that topic that I'm like being very meticulous with the sequel. I don't want to put it out before it's polished the way that I want. So in the meantime, I'm doing the poetry collections. After the 3 poetry collections, I'm going to do a book on spirituality, actually, which should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to do a book after that one, which is going to be articles from zenthecar.com over the past 5 years. Ones that I find relevant. Mm-hmm. So that'll be out after that, and then Reach Into Heaven is kind of. I'm not going to give anybody a date for that one because it's something that's highly anticipated. I will say for those people who have read Then Came the Flood, well, I want to give a teaser, but I don't. There are 4 characters who make it into the next book. Me and Vince have talked about it. He knows, and he almost shat himself whenever I told him, who it was that actually survived, because it doesn't make any sense, from a reader's perspective.
Well, I
But
think it's going to be interesting to see what you do, because you had told me, I think on the air actually, about part of what'll be in there, which I think is one of the most fascinating of the I believe them to be parables, but rather relevant, is the whole situation with the Tower of Babel being introduced into this next chapter, as it were.
yeah, what I'm kind of aiming for is if it works out the way that I want it to work out, I'm actually hoping to do a series of books leading up to the birth of Jesus and dealing with that, because there are a lot of things. Anybody who knows anything about the Knights Templar, the Knights Templar on Friday the 13th were all exterminated, um, because they went on Temple Mount, and found out some things about Yeshua, um, uh, and perhaps his bloodline. Now, you have to stop and think about this for a minute. We're talking about a guy who could walk on water, who could heal the sick, he could make the blind see, he could raise the dead. We're talking about somebody who's genetically superior. Now we have an idea of why perhaps the Pharisees and the Sadducees and maybe even the Vatican would want to eliminate such a bloodline if it existed. So, a lot of a lot of that modern day Christians don't want to deal with. They don't want to think about. Oh my God.
I meant to ask you a long time ago and never got to it. Did you ever see that film about them discovering the crypt of Jesus? Actually, did you ever see that?
Yeah, yeah. When I was like I said, I used to be an Orthodox Baptist, and I did a lot of research on Yeshua, on Jesus, and for one thing, obviously Jesus Christ was not his name. That was invented, after the Roman Catholic Church came into existence. Um, but there's a lot to be looked at there. One of the things that really got me off of Orthodox Christianity was I used to be an apologist, um, who dealt with confronting cults and confronting people who were disbelievers. And one of the things they always used to throw in our face was Josephus. Well, no, Jesus didn't write anything, and we don't have any evidence whatsoever of his body. However, extra biblical material that we do have is from Josephus. So, I sat down one day and I said, all right, if I'm going to be intellectually honest with myself, I really need to read what Josephus wrote, who was a contemporary of Jesus Christ, right? So I went down to my local bookstore and I picked up, the Annals of History, looked up Josephus. There's 2 mentions of Jesus Christ in Josephus, and that's it. And if you read it, um, it's inserted later by the Roman Catholic Church. Josephus never wrote it. But what he basically says is that he's talking about what was going on in Israel, in Jerusalem at the time of the crucifixion. And this is what it was. Pontius Pilate was the procurator sent by Caesar. And at the time, they had lined the streets with the statues of the pagan gods. And the Jews were very upset. And so they went to Pontius Pilate and they protested. And it was a back and forth for a few days. All right. And basically, at the end of the whole ordeal, Pontius Pilate had to have those statues removed. Now, in Josephus's writings, that was the ordeal leading up to Passion Week. But if you read Josephus, right dab in the middle of this account, he says, oh, and by the way, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, by the way, this was the time when Jesus the Christ was teaching and preaching. All right? And it out of place. It doesn't fit into the narrative. And
Right. And
we
if
have
you
to.
actually read Josephus, generally speaking, you won't find things that just simply emerge from the writing that don't have like a preamble to them, an explanation. It doesn't flow like that.
Right.
So this is the weirdest thing, and I've had more than one person tell me that it's more than likely just a forgery.
It's a forgery. I mean, and how you know it's a forgery is that Josephus calls Jesus the Messiah. Well, Josephus, we know for a fact, never converted to Christianity. He remained an Orthodox Jew until his dying day. So, hello. And when I read that, I went, something's wrong. I'm not being told the truth. You know, uh, it's a sham.
Right, and there's a whole weird argument about how Mashiach is a term which not necessarily would have been applied for that reason, but of course the original writing I think it just doesn't make sense. It's like it's clearly been inserted. It doesn't flow. That's always where you can find strange things with people's writings. You can almost always tell when somebody kind of grafted something into the situation, or an editor was involved, because all of a sudden you're going along, there's a certain flow, which, is difficult to sort of identify in a lot of cases. But I mean, with Josephus's writing, when he's laying this out, you can tell, even in the translation, there's a general flow to what's happening.
Right.
And you're right, it does. It doesn't exactly say, oh, by the way, but might as well.
Right.
It just sort of, like, let's put this in there. And yeah, I think it was absolutely inserted.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
The Roman Catholic Church did it, but let's not. I don't mean to denigrate the man Yeshua. Do I believe that there was a man named Yeshua who was crucified and all that? Yeah, I do believe that. But uh, what I find funny about Orthodox Christians is when they get to the New Testament, one of the things they really, really miss is even Yeshua says the Old Testaments were written as an allegory. He says, these were written as an allegory for you. They're not to be taken as literal history, But what we find today, like your last guest on your show about 9/11, what we find is that people who do take it to be literal history and they take the book of Revelation to be literal future are guiding us towards some fucking Armageddon, which is insane. It's insane. When really the message of the Bible, I mean, if it's, when they encountered Yeshua, they said, what do you got to say about all this? Look, the law and the prophets hang on these two things. Love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. You don't have to read any else of the Bible to get that. That's it. That's the message. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. We don't have to blow ourselves up or hate other people who call God Allah or, Krishna or whatever. To me, that's just insane. It's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True. I just wanted to say, so it's nothing to do with what you're talking about, so I'm just going off track for a second to say hello to Sandra, who listens to my program. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you liked the show. And thanks. Sorry, Daniel. It was just a request, and I wanted
No
to make
problem.
sure I got to it before we ran out of time in about 15, 20 minutes.
No problem. And somebody just dropped a comment in there. Look, guys, let me try to break it down for you as quick as I can. The temple of God is the temple between your ears, okay? It talks about in the Old Testament that King Solomon's temple, and this is what Freemasons don't want you to know. They talk about the temple that's built without the sound of hammer and chisel. That's in silence. That's in silent meditation. The temple is within your ears. That's why they carried the Ark of the Covenant on their shoulders. It's all allegory. Talking about the self. Go inside yourself. Jesus said this, or Yeshua said this. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's inside of you. It's you. Man, know thyself, and you'll know the worlds and their gods. You know, uh, Organized religion wants you to focus on an outside Messiah, and really, if you read the scriptures, any scriptures, they talk about the inner person is where God exists. The body is the temple. You know, that's just me.
Well, it's true.
I
Well,
think so.
in my opinion, I know everybody has a different opinion of everything, but I agree with that. I don't really follow any particular uh, organized religion. I think I made it clear plenty of times that I practice paganism. Um, I know down south here it's kind of frowned upon, but I'm not comfortable in organized religion. Every time I walked into a church, I felt like I was going to start burning from the feet on up, and I just didn't feel as though that's where I belonged, and still don't. I don't think that a church needs to look at my financial statements and tell me what I can and cannot donate, based on my financial records.
And thank God it's all coming to an end.
Hmm.
Thank God. And one of the things I'm working on right now, which was it's actually kind of funny. Anybody who's into to decrim or you there?
Yep.
Okay. I'm,
Sorry.
no,
I keep muting because I'm coughing and
no
sneezing
worries.
and everything. I'm trying to keep it off the air as much as I can.
No worries. Yeah, I want you guys to look out for something because I'm working on this right now. I thought it was rather funny. Um, Something that really bothers me, as far as well, ZenOnTheCar.com has an affiliate that I'm not too happy with at the moment, and it's an organization that is trying to legalize marijuana in the state of Georgia. And this is something I really wanted to talk about because, for me, I know that cannabis or marijuana, whatever you want to call it, is something that's very relevant to spirituality. In every religious scripture that you can find, it commands you to partake of this. And I have an issue with people who want to legalize or people who want to push politicians or Congress or whatever to have this legalized. This should not be legalized at all. We do not want cannabis legalized. We want it decriminalized.
Right.
And one of the things that I'm working with Digital Hourglass is a video. We're specifically designing this video to deprogram people as far as what the legality is. It's already lawful for you to partake of cannabis, and it's very simple. It We don't have to go through politicians. We don't have to go through lawyers. We don't have to go through any of that. Okay, you have a First Amendment right, and that First Amendment is in the Constitution, and it says that you have a right to free worship. This is right.
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 Okay, now the Supreme Court comes along and they say that if any state or municipality passes a law that negates or contradicts a previously given right, it's null and void, and the citizen has no right to obey. So, what the Supreme Court has already said is if you already have a right, the state can come along and write any law they want to, but if it contradicts your supreme law, which is the Ten Amendments, you don't have to listen to them. Okay? So, if you have a First Amendment right, and let's say, and we'll go ahead and say Orthodox Christianity, does the Bible command you to partake of cannabis? Yes, it does. In several places in Genesis.
Genesis for starters, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not going to give you citations. I'm going to do like Jesus and say, as it says in another place, look it up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's not my job. But for Orthodox Christians, you have a right to smoke or partake of cannabis. That's under your First Amendment. So the state of Georgia comes along, that's where I'm at, and they say, no, no, no. OCGA says marijuana is illegal. Well, according to the Supreme Court, never been overturned, I have a right to ignore them and partake of that right. So what I don't understand is why all these activists are spinning their wheels trying to get people to legalize marijuana or cannabis when they're not bringing the truth to the people, which is that you don't have to do that. It's already lawful. All you have to do is engage in the right. That really, really upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with Digital Hourglass right now to kind of put a video out that deprograms people to that. I get pissed off because, as a victim of post-traumatic stress disorder, and I know a lot of troops who come home from post-traumatic stress disorder, they want to pump them full of pharmaceutical drugs when the answer is cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wonder plant. It's a wonder herb. And one of the things, that really pisses me off is, like, for example, my father, before he passed, he had a lot of pain because of his arthritis. And they wanted to give him hydrocodone. And,
Okay.
I asked my dad, I said, Dad, if I can get you some green, would you smoke it? Yeah, I would. And before I could manage to do that, he passed. Now, what pisses me off is that he could get a little white piece of paper from a doctor and go down to a pharmacy and get legalized cocaine,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't let him smoke an herb.
Well, that's what drives me nuts too. Is you're going to tell me it's illegal and I can grow it in the ground? It's like telling me I can't eat a potato or a carrot.
Right.
I mean, it's just like growing lavender or lemon balm.
What's another interesting extension of that idea, which occurred to me when you were talking, is that these whole battles that everybody's going through with Monsanto regarding not being able to clean and cultivate your own seeds and things. The very same, justification that one could use in Genesis, for instance, because there it mentions a lot about the seeds and how you're supposed to take them and cultivate them and all that. Why couldn't that be used for the very same purpose?
Right. I mean, why are we letting other people define for us what is natural and what's not?
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's one of my big concerns is, I talk a lot about PTSD because I've had it, and cannabis is such a miracle herb, and it pisses me off. It really does. This should be available to everybody. We're sitting here and we're having this battle in Georgia over medical marijuana. It's the dumbest shit to me. It really, really is, because I have all of my political activist friends who are advocating legalization. No, I don't want it legal. I don't want the government controlling this. I don't want the government regulating it at all. It needs to be lawful. And what really irks me, I guess, is that you already have that right. We don't have to go through these hoops. All you have to do is stand up and claim your right, to utilize it.
Mm. Well, that goes with my argument with vaccines. I don't think the government has any right to tell me that I should have to put those poisons into my son's body.
Right.
And they're trying to pass this law that makes, my religious exemption no longer available to me. Well, I'll just keep moving.
Well,
I'm not going to do it. And it
well,
makes me laugh with these people that do vax, that my child is putting your child at risk for not getting vaccinated. Well, if your child's vaccinated and you believe wholeheartedly that those vaccines are doing their job, then you shouldn't be worried about my child being around your child. It's the other way around. I'm worried about the live virus that your child is shedding, affecting my baby.
well, what it goes right back around to is we have to stop asking the government for permission to exercise rights that we already have. We just have to exercise them. You know, that's it. We're sitting here, and I'm not really trying to slight anybody in the political in the activist movement. I'm really not. I love all of them very, very much. But the fact is that we don't have to fight for these rights. We already have them. All we have to do is stand up with them. I'm gonna smoke weed. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's my right. You don't have to pass a law for me to do that. I'm gonna do it. Um, you're not gonna vaccinate my kid because you're just not. We don't have to fight for these rights. And I think one of the things that bothers me is that I see so many political activists who are exerting their effort into fighting for rights that we already have. We already have them. Just stand up. No, you don't have to have your kid shot up full of vaccines. That's your right. You don't have to go through legislation. You don't have to have some politician do that for you.
Mm.
You already have that right, and that's all we have to do. It's not complicated. It's simple. Real simple.
Right. It's the whole thing is just frustrating to me.
And we are down to the last 10 minutes,
Oh, wow,
everybody. Yeah, we
Oh,
are. So I was figuring, just to let you know, and then you can
Yeah, I
do
can't
what you want
see.
with your show.
I can't see the clock from here. Um, just I want to respond. Some Psy girl said he's not circumcised either. I wouldn't.
No,
I'm not going to inflict that kind of pain on somebody else's body, whether he's my child or not.
no, he's an all-natural baby at this
Yes,
point.
he is.
So there you go.
I didn't do my Frankie moment. Did I have one?
You didn't have one this week.
I'm sure there's
All right.
got to be
Hey,
one.
hey, side girl, buy my book.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Psy Girl is one of the most interesting and salient callers I have ever heard on any radio show. I've heard her on other shows, and I'm so glad that she calls into mine every once in a while.
She should have her
and
own
she called
show.
into you. You know what, Psy Girl, you do need your own show. I gotta say, I would listen. I don't listen to too many radio shows anymore. I do tune around every now and then, and Kim can tell you I drive her nuts when I can't sleep. I just go to 80 different radio shows and listen to them for about 20 minutes apiece. But anymore. But the thing is, I would listen to the Psy Girl show. I guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, there you go. There's a shout out.
There's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
All right. I am so just out of
look
it
like
at this
shit.
point. Thank you. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much. I really
But I
appreciate
love
that.
you.
I'm glad that somebody does.
I'll make you some soup if you want.
Alrighty. Something warm.
Oh, how are your ladies? Daniel, are they feeling better?
Do what now?
How are your ladies? Are they feeling better?
We are all well and we're all good.
Were you sick too after them?
Oh my God, they passed that bug on to me and it was horrific. I felt so bad because I was on Chuck's show and that thing just, man, it kicked me in the balls.
Oh,
That was the worst cold I've ever had in my life.
I think that's kicking you in your balls too.
Yeah, well, Frankie gave it to me, but he's got to get his colds and things out of the way. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, that's how you actually build your immunity. Thank you very much.
Right.
So he got me sick.
Yeah.
But
Well, because I take him out. He doesn't live in a bubble.
no, well, that's not what you do. It's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
Keep them in a bubble and inject them with the crap, and then wonder why they're allergic to everything. I mean, come on.
Mm.
No, yeah, I got over it. So, yeah.
Well, I hope I don't get it.
Ah, it's horrible. God damn it.
I got the mommy immune, I'm hoping.
We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, you remember I was telling you I go take care of my neighbor, Daniel?
Yeah.
Well, they had to. I kept telling, his daughter, and I spoke to his doctor that his feeding tube, the stoma, was infected, and nobody would listen to me. So he was admitted tonight
Oh.
because the tube came out of his belly, and I couldn't feed him. Finally, I had to prove it today. When I tried to feed him, there was resistance, and I'm like, yeah, no, there's a problem. So they finally picked him up and brought him to the hospital, and they admitted him. So I'm hoping he's okay.
Well, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
He'll be all right.
They're going to fix it tomorrow, I think. Well, that was, just a random off-topic.
Yeah, everybody who's listening is like, what? What
Yeah,
Yeah,
what the
I
hell?
know.
Where'd you go now?
what are you guys talking about? That's some all fair stuff, dudes.
Yeah. Well, that's like a 4 a.m. conversation I had with Daniel. It's like, I got to go at 5. I got to go feed my neighbor.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, is that this is so random and stream. See, this is stream of consciousness like I do, except this is Kim's stream. So,
Hey, are you making fun of me?
I didn't make fun. I said this is your stream of
You're
consciousness.
probably
This is
making fun
your
of me.
show.
I just don't realize
Did
it.
I make... Daniel, help me. Did I make fun of her just now?
I'll teach you
Man.
how to make an omelet.
We never did finish the omelet story either.
With all the fixins, too.
Oh, boy.
Trust me, if that chick messaged me back, you guys will be the first to know.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
Oh man, part 2. I'll tell you what. I'll have you on my show at some point next week just to go over that.
The comedy hour.
Oh, I'll see if I can get somebody else to like read her. But that would be perfect if we had like a female voice reading her lines.
Oh, I'll do it for you in my breathy voice.
There we go.
I'll call my ex-wife.
Oh, there you go. That'll work.
Does she ever listen? Because every once in a while, my ex-wife decides to tune into me, and I'm not happy about it. But does your ex-wife ever listen to you?
I'm almost 100% positive that she does.
Oh,
But I wouldn't know.
I'm sorry, and
Well, we're
No, it's good. It's good.
you got the phone call verifying it.
yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great.
That was pretty funny. I was listening to you, and it reminds me of all the stuff you used to say that I just told everybody you're crazy, and now you got a radio show where you're doing it. Sorry, I don't do a good Patty impression.
No,
The love.
no.
Hey.
No, if she does, I don't know. But that would be funny.
Maybe she's listening now.
You know what would be really funny?
What?
If her mom was listening.
Why would that be funny?
Funny story. I'll tell you real quick. We only have 5 minutes.
Okay.
My dad was my best man.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay, at the wedding. I swear to God, this happened. True story.
It's gonna be good.
It's going to be good.
Okay.
We were back behind the pulpit, right, before I came out. My dad was in his tux. I was in mine. He grabbed me by the hand. He said, son, listen to me right now. Yeah? As soon as you put that ring on her finger, I want you to get on an airplane and take her 5 states away from her fucking mom. Wish I would have listened. Wish I would have listened.
Isn't that something how, not all, because I didn't,
Go ahead.
how women turn into their mothers?
Well, I'll tell you this. Much like surgery during the Civil War, I was completely drunk and had to require a lot of whiskey to get married on New Year's Eve to my first wife. So
Were you held upright?
almost. Actually, my best man was like,
That's delicious.
You gotta stop drinking, dude. You're drinking. You're gonna say something when they're going through these little vows you guys are supposed to. Do you even know what you're supposed to? I'm like, no,
Oh,
I don't
wow.
care. Let's go. Let's get it done.
Oh, my.
Ripped at my mind. I mean, slurring and really just, You want to know how drunk I was? Here's a good example of how drunk I was.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned the Kennedy assassination in conversation, and I walked up, raised my finger, and walked away, and was unable to participate in the conversation.
Wow. That's
So
pretty
how
good.
drunk was I?
Pretty sweet. Huh. The mayor at my wedding was drunk. Huh. I wasn't drunk. He was the officiating whatever. He was drunk. He showed up late and he was drunk. I was like, wow. Needless to say, I'm not married to that person anymore.
Oh,
Maybe that's why.
marriage, the great institution.
the great equalizer.
All right, am I supposed to be laughing or am I supposed to be crying?
It depends.
Hey. Hey now. That's all I have
Even
to
though
say.
I had to give up every single thing I owned in the world, and I had to give up all of my past
Not
and
to
every
me.
document in the world to get married, to get divorced from my ex-wife, I really was standing there kind of like saying, do I have to throw in a kidney? Take it.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
if it's
'cause
that bad,
I
I would have
want
walked out.
Out.
I would have walked out. Why would? What? Why? What? Why? Why would you go through that?
I needed her. I so badly I was agreeing to everything in court and just
No,
saying,
the
please
divorce,
just
I
take her
understand,
last name away from,
why would you
take
give?
my last name away from her. That's all I want.
But why would you be
Disconnect
married
us.
in the first place?
Disconnect us. She
I
was,
don't understand.
because I knocked her up.
Oh shit!
Anyway.
Here we go. It is midnight, just about. That's when my playtime starts.
Oh yeah, you're just about to run into your. You know what? Mention Daniel's
Yes,
book before we're
I want
done.
to say real quick,
Please buy
Daniel, Hearts and Arrows, Halos and Horns, a beautiful book of poetry that is now available on what, Amazon, Daniel?
Amazon, and I am going to find an omelet.
Awesome.
Nice.
Make sure you put cheese in that
Because
omelet.
Shannon is looking. I think Shannon is the cheese. Anyway.
Oh, that could be nasty.
Yeah, it could be, huh?
Mm-mm.
Especially if it's cottage.
Oh, will you stop
cheese.
that now? That's just wrong.
Can you
Sorry,
tell? Can you
Daniel.
tell I have a fever? Okay.
Oh, God. God,
Yeah.
That's the nastiest invention, I think, on the planet. Other than head cheese. What the hell is that? Oh, there we go. Good night,